In today's world, we are increasingly dependent on technology. Our business and personal lives rely on it, but as you've probably noticed, it's unreliable. Our computers are slow, so we end up squinting at smartphones and tablets. The jokers we pay to fix our stuff have no clue what they're doing. We live in constant fear that something's going to happen to our personal data. So we're scared into paying for fake protection that proves useless when disaster strikes. Update attacks, fake Wi-Fi, cloud control, intelligent, successful people feel intimidated by the chaos and think it's somehow their fault. If they only knew what the industry was doing to them, they'd get torches and pitchforks. If only we had someone to explain it all in plain English so we can start protecting ourselves. Oh wait, we do! It's the Computer Exorcist Podcast with your host, Mark Anthony Arena.
From the Wallace Memorial microphone in my home office overlooking the Can of Worms in downtown Rochester, New York, this is the Computer Exorcist Podcast. My name is Mark Anthony Arena. I am so glad you have joined us today. This is the second half of my discussion with a guy named KO. And
hello, nerds.
Nerds and people interested in becoming one. This is incredible, folks, right? As you know, I've been here for years complaining about Microsoft Windows, right? And just how poorly designed it is and how it just seems to get worse every day. So there's this guy and he's got this group of friends and they are doing something about it. They're stripping out the stupidity of Windows. The reason why I originally contacted him, I saw one of his videos on YouTube, and the reason why I contacted him is because I said, look, I've been doing the same thing, flipping switches manually myself a couple times a day for 15 years now. Turning off Snap, turning off the Getting to Know You scandal, turning off the updates, turning off the Copilot and Cortana and whatever is going to come out next week. So I said, hey, is there a program I can use to turn off all the stupidity? And luckily, there are things like that out there. So, KO, last time we talked about Talon, which is your software suite that turns off the stupidity in Windows, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about a whole new window manager. It's like putting a whole new faceplate on Windows. But then,
yeah, desktop environment.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be like actually here. You know, I know the nerds who watch your show would probably be freaking out in the comments about you saying that they're two different things. But yeah.
Oh, what's the word? Pedantic? Where they would correct me? Is that the word?
Like the Reddit mods, you know?
Yeah, well, actually, it's not that. Okay, yeah. But just to explain it in plain English for people, yeah, it's kind of like
it's your taskbar, it's your start menu, it's your icons on the desktop, it's all that, yeah.
Yeah, and what I do for people, which I really love, it's called OpenShell. So if you're infected with Windows 8, 10, or 11,
yeah, I like OpenShell.
You can install OpenShell, and it gives you a real start button like Mom used to make, like you're familiar with from Windows 7 and before. So that's my joke about that. I've had
stability problems with OpenShell personally, but to be fair, the last time I used them was quite a while ago, so maybe they got better in recent times. You know,
I've had pretty good luck with them, except when Windows tries to attack them and shut them down. But other than that,
Windows updates messes with it sometimes.
Absolutely. So, all right, tell me about. You have a support scammer blocker. So all day, every day, I get phone calls from the senior citizens. Hey, I got a scary pop-up. It says I have viruses and they want me to call a number. If you call the number, the guy uses a fully legalized remote support tool to break into your computer. Unfortunately, most computer dudes at computer stores don't understand that these threats are legal, so they're doing a 1991 virus scan and they're not able to help. So, KO, what are you doing to help stop this thing called support scams?
Well, I'll start by addressing the whole legality of these tools. My stepdad is a surveyor, and he has to go back. You know, he's out working in fields all day and stuff. They have a lot of data they gather about, you know, surveying land and stuff. When he's at home, sometimes he has to head home, but he still needs to get some work done. So he has to remote into his computer at work. So there are very legitimate uses for this software.
Exactly.
AnyDesk, TeamViewer, ConnectWise, whatever. All these tools have legitimate reasons for working. Like even I have a little server in my house that I connect to remotely, and I mean I even use these kinds of tools, right? So
And I do
real
too
uses,
for my own
but
clients. I use it to give
absolutely,
remote support. So absolutely, all I'm saying is that they're not going to show up on a virus scan. So these dudes just shrug their shoulders.
Oh yeah, no, because they're not technically viruses. They're a tool. A hammer can be used to bash someone, or it could be used to build something, right?
Yep.
It's a tool.
It's
Every
a tool, and it's
can
being
be
used for harm.
including these. So these remote access tools often get abused by tech support scammers. They'll connect into your computer pretending to be some support agent, and then they run all these commands that are very simple by nature, but like they look really scary and complex, and they're like, see, it says connections and it shows these IPs, so it means there's hackers on your computer. And
they show a list of fake things that are innocuous. Sometimes they do fake scripts that do all sorts of fancy
like
dances on the
Chase
screen.
Bank server.
And people fall for it because computers are scary, and we were told that computers are scary.
They can hide your screen, then they edit your bank page to make it look like they sent you a lot more money than you actually have.
They can pull up a fake website. They point you to their fake website, and you think you're logging into your bank. There's billions of things they can do from that point on.
The most common scam, though, is that they say that they sent you like an extra $30,000 when they only meant to send you $3,000. And then you check your bank page and it says you have that $30,000, but in reality you don't actually.
Wow, so you check a fake page. And that would explain, 'cause I've gotten a couple people in the past year, I've gotten 2 intelligent, successful people say that they got that exact scam, and the guy told them to put 30 grand cash in a cardboard box and mail it to him. So they did. Yeah.
So they'll either do credit cards or they'll have you send money somewhere, and they have mules is what they're called. So there's these people who cooperate with the scammers living in the United States. You send it to their address and they take the cut and then send it to the scammers. So it's like a middleman.
Nuts. Exactly. That's well said.
The setup is crazy. Well, anyways.
Okay, what do you do? Yeah.
There's always awareness programs. There's always stuff like that. But scams are becoming more and more prevalent every year and more successful every year. Clearly something is not working. Clearly we need to do something else. So there's a tool designed by this guy. He's a very popular scam baiter. What they do is they pretend to be an old person and then just mess with the scammers, waste their time. It's really entertaining.
I do it on my show. It's wonderful.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. So I watch a lot of those YouTubers, but he started his own thing called Serif Secure, and it's this big tool, and it's like it blocks remote access tools from running on your computer. It texts your family whenever something suspicious is happening.
Nice.
It'll send them a text message and it'll say, "Hey, something suspicious is happening." Whatever. It's a very cool tool. The concept of it, extremely cool.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a problem though.
Does he charge a lot of money?
First off, it's a monthly subscription.
Of course, because people love milking.
Second off, it requires an account, and they limit you to a certain number of devices.
Really?
And then third, it's proprietary. It's not open source. You can't go inspect the source code. It's not like where anyone can contribute to it or anything. It's closed source, and it has to communicate back and forth with their servers. So they could be sending all kinds of telemetry, usage data, whatever, and I mean you wouldn't know because it's all proprietary.
Most people's kids show up, they install something, they forget the password, and they walk out.
Well, even just the design of it is a lot more in your face about it, And even think about it. They're paywalling protection. They're paywalling privacy. When you use the free plan, you can only use it on a singular device, and all it does is block remote access tools. If you want to block malicious websites, if you want to block pop-ups, if you want to alert your family, anything like that, pony up. It's like, so it just sucks. So we sat down and we were like, okay, the execution terrible, the idea great. So we were like, what if we did this? My group, Raven and I, we all sat down and we were like, we should do this. So we essentially made our own version of Serif Secure, but if we made it. And so it's entirely local, doesn't rely on external servers, anything. It's all just on your computer. And it has a huge list of extremely common all the way down to pretty obscure remote access tools, and it blocks all of them. And I posted a video actually just today where I showcased what we have so far, and we don't it's not fully ready yet, so there's obviously little flaws here and there, but we're working on it. We are going to set it so that if any possibly deceptive activity, like, think about it, my grandma's never going to open command prompt or PowerShell, right? So
right. So it's like lifting up the hood. It's like an alarm if you lift the hood of your car, so to speak.
Exactly. So you can what it'll do is you run it and it says, hey, do you want to add this to startup? So it'll start every time you open your computer. You can click yes, and then that's it. Just it'll run in the background. It's a set and forget type deal. You install it, then you don't need to think about it again.
Right.
If for whatever reason you have a remote access tool ran, if for whatever reason you open command prompt PowerShell, if for whatever reason any other weird suspicious activity happens, it will give you a pop-up message saying, hey, stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing. This is possibly bad. Call someone you trust, like your bank or a family member. If someone's on the phone with you right now, hang up from them, all that.
That's brilliant. God bless you. That's
so it'll try to get them to. So imagine this: if my grandma buys a new laptop, she hands me her laptop for a second. I download it, I click it to start it, and then I just click yes, and then I'm just done. After that, I can hand it back to her, and she just doesn't need to worry about it. She'll never think about it again. It's out of her way.
That's such a huge point here. Listen, folks, he installs it, he's done. Okay, and that's the thing, though. I always say when I give speeches at libraries and such, I say, look, if you go down to the hardware store and you buy a hammer or a screwdriver, you pay $10 and you are done forever. You don't have to go to a scheme where you rent it monthly for the rest of your life and then it checks your account and mails you and bills you and checks your and this eternal. No, it's a one and done. You don't need an eternal thing, right? It's a one-time product. You don't need to do it eternally. So the only thing I've come up with that's close to what you're doing is I printed out little blue stickers with frown faces on them. And it says, hey, if some scary person calls you, if you have a scary pop-up, do not touch it, hang up, and call me. That's it. So that's the best.
That's a pretty good way to do it, too.
Yeah. People need, and I would recommend once you get it done, show it to organizations that protect seniors, and I will certainly promote it with my Computer Exorcist certification. I'm certainly going to do that. I'll put it on my subreddit called Computer Exorcists, and yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Wow.
Well, and another thing too, you remember I mentioned Serif Secure blocks malicious websites and whatnot. So our tool doesn't do that yet, but we want it to. And so a philosophy that Raven's always used is, why reinvent the wheel? If it already exists, then we can just build upon the foundation. So there's this DNS provider called Quad9. And essentially, whenever you set them as your provider, they block malware, they block ransomware, they block all that stuff. You can't even access it. And they say on their website it's up to the minute. Rather than us inventing all that stuff and hosting it on our servers and you having to connect to our servers and pay all this money and stuff,
right?
We can just use this free service. The application will just set your device to use Quad9.
And you hear that, folks? Instead of, I was told that Norton and McAfee are going to protect me from ransomware. No, there's free tools like the one he's talking about.
And, Norton and all that stuff have these features built in, but then it's paywalled. And then if you stop paying them, well, too bad, so sad. You don't get the protection anymore.
Right. It's all, and again, my whole thing is, it's even if it's up to the minute, it's still a reactionary thing. So my whole thing is awareness, right? All you all need to know is if a scary guy's on the phone, he's not real, because big tech doesn't have time for you. So,
well, worst case scenario, if anyone's ever calling you and talking about money and they're trying to make it urgent and stuff, call your bank. That is the very first person you should be talking to, is your bank, a representative at your local branch. Go talk to them now.
Yeah, I had a lady call me. She said, Mark, I'm calling for my neighbor's house. And I said, why? And she said, well, I got this guy on the phone from Apple, and he said my phone line is being hacked, and I can't use my phone. In reality, he didn't want her calling her kids or calling me.
Yeah, they make excuses like that. They'll say whatever they can to get you to only listen to them. And so that way you're entirely that's your whole world now, is this entire just make-believe story.
Wow. I've heard of bad relationships like that.
Serif Secure tries to solve that problem, but inherently just creates a new problem. And now instead of these scammers doing that, now it's you're paywalling protection against that.
Yeah.
And if I stop paying you, then I'm no longer protected, and it just sucks. So we want to offer something like that where rather than it being that whole catastrophe, it's just you download it and it just works. Like, it just does the thing it says it'll do, and that's it.
It works. It leaves you alone, and I love that. There's always a better alternative.
My grandma is never going to allow me to install Serif Secure to her device. She'll find it annoying and a mess. But,
right, that's the thing. It'll pop up, it'll annoy, and it'll cost her money, and yeah.
Exactly.
Recurring,
so instead of that
eternal
whole catastrophe, it's just, here you go. And again, she'll never even know it was on her system until it needs to let itself be known. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and people always say, Mark, what kind of protection do I need? I say, don't worry about it. I've done it already. You're all set. You're protected.
Absolutely.
So I got a couple quick articles. You ready?
Oh boy.
All right, this one here, I got two actually. Let's do this one. Let's see how much time we have. DailyWire.com, 2021. Apple working to create features to detect depression and cognitive impairment. As if they didn't know enough about you. So I'm going to read I'm going to read a couple sentences from it, and then I'll ask you for your opinion. How's that?
Sure.
Apple is reportedly developing technology to assist in perceiving cognitive decline and depression, which could lead some to look at the company's efforts to ensure it protects user privacy. Hello, right? Apple's making these bold moves at us, right? Apple is working on technology aiming for tools that could expand the scope of its burgeoning health portfolio, using an array of sensor data that includes mobility, physical activity, sleep patterns, typing behavior, and more. They hope they can tease out digital signals associated with decline or depression that would become the basis for unique features for its devices. The study will last 2 years and include around 20,000 people. I'm actually shocked that they're doing a study that includes 20,000 volunteers rather than unleashing an update attack on humanity, right? Usually we're the guinea pigs, right?
That's usually how they do it. That'd be a Microsoft move.
Exactly. Apple's development of an iPhone trait that can, I love it, an iPhone trait that can tell people to get help or seek out early testing for cognitive deterioration. That's actually incredibly sad. Did you notice that? Because that means you don't have any friends or family nearby who can notice that in you, right?
Listen, all of this stuff, I'll be honest, I actually would be for this stuff if it were opt-in.
Right. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. And to explain what he just said there, it means, look, it's one thing if you had the choice to willingly and knowingly sign up for it. That's wonderful. But what happens... It's going to be
enabled by default, and it's going to track you. It's going to send that information to Apple. It's going to do all that. If it were locally on the device rather than sending all that data to Apple, and if it were opt-in where I have to enable it to do that, because not everyone will want that.
Right. Opt-in means willingly sign up for it versus turning it on by default, which means they force attack you with it and you don't even know it's there. Exactly.
Most people don't change default settings. I mean, yeah. And
we don't have time. We don't know.
Bury it in like 3 different screens and all that and make it a hell to turn off.
Exactly. Look at the getting to know you scandal. Nobody has time to dig 3 menus down in Windows 10 to see where it says getting to know you, by the way we're recording what you're typing. Right?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people don't know that Windows actually sends that.
Right. People don't have time. They don't, by default, who would ever think, that's my term, that's my sentence, who would ever think that this is happening? right? Who would ever imagine?
It feels like a South Park parody.
Yes. Now, all right, here's the clincher. Aside from Apple wanting to know every last everything ever aspect of you ever, here's another reason why they're doing this. So a couple more sentences here will explain this. Biogen is also known for its drug Aduhelm. So that's what's happening here. Apple attacks you and says, hey, you have cognitive decline. Why don't you try popping these pills called Aduhelm?
That's crazy.
Right?
Hey, if that's the whole scheme, it's just to like try to funnel people into taking these. That's crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
That is not. Yeah, that is pretty absurd.
It will track
are they
data.
directly connected? Like, does Apple directly recommend that?
Well, the study is funded by Biogen. So they're working with them. Yeah, when Biogen began the study.
Then they definitely have an incentive, yeah.
Absolutely. Representatives for Apple, UCLA, and Biogen are doing this together. So it will track the data from the iPhones.
I definitely think mental health software and stuff is a great thing if I choose to have it. Man.
All this stuff that I've been talking about for years, hey, it would be cool if I willingly did it, right?
You know what I want my phone to do? I want it to turn on. I want to be able to make texts, make phone calls, and download the apps that I want, and that be it.
Imagine a product that does what you want.
Imagine a product, you buy it, and it does what it says it does.
Listen, KL, I would love to, and I'll finish this right now, but I would love to, once we put out all the fires in the industry, I would love to create new products with you. I would love that.
Oh, that would be so fire. Raven, in the future, if we ever made our own phone, I know that's like a big leap into the future, but like that would be so fire.
But here again, like you said, don't reinvent the wheel. You can use the Purism Librem phone as a starting point, right? Or the framework
there's
laptop.
Plenty of manufacturers and pre-existing phones that you can build a foundation off of, you know?
Yes, the building, but this is incredible because I've always been so bombarded by so many thousands of clients and knowing that the world is closing in on me, so to speak, right? All this technology is closing in on us, but there was this little flame in the back of my head that said, someday I'm going to make products that actually respect people.
We definitely need more products like that hitting the market, you know, because it's starting to get absurd.
Thank you. And I'm not alone anymore. Thank you. So it'll track data from the iPhone's video camera, keyboard, and audio sensors, and the Apple Watch related to your movements and vital signs and sleep.
What?
Yeah.
And my camera. What?
Yeah. And also the speed of your typing, the frequency of the typos, and the content of what you type. Hey, what if you're drunk? Or what if you just can't type on touchscreens like everyone? Right?
So my words per minute correlates to how and what the contents of what you type is crazy. That part is absurd. They see I'm writing JavaScript, so they're like, "Hey, you need to see someone."
Right? I can't type anything on my touchscreen keyboard. It never works ever. Every time I try to type the letter A, it types the letter S. Every time I type a letter S, it types the letter A. Right? Nothing ever works ever. And they're going to accuse me of having... That's the other thing. It's going to all blow false alarms everywhere.
Yeah, and unfortunately, knowing Apple, they're of course going to send all that data, you know, to their servers, so they'll be collecting all that information about you. Even though it may be anonymized, I love that term. They always use the term anonymized. That data is still extremely valuable because they're geographically saying, like, in this region, this percent of people is doing this and that. Like, that's still a massive privacy violation.
Oh, do you remember that I did this on my show like 10 years ago or something when I was on AM radio, and there was a breach where someone released all of the AOL search history, right? And that's when we learned that AOL is recording our search history, but also they said, look, it's anonymized, so you don't know the person's name. Well, look, even if it says user number 3456, it still shows everything that user did.
Yeah.
Right, and you're going to search for yourself.
You can connect the dots with the searches of who it. Like, I'm sure if my search history leaked, you'd see, like like you could see him searching up Raven, I'm searching up all this kind of stuff. You could probably end up correlating that to me, you know?
Right, you search for your own address, you search for your own stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I love I love that you thought that Apple article was hysterical. All right,
I mean, Android ain't exactly too great. They're trying to follow on Apple's footsteps, you know. Sucks, but
yeah,
that's a whole other conversation for another day.
Exactly. Apple used to be a pioneer, and now they're just falling off a cliff. And people go, "Oh, if Apple fell off a cliff, we should fall off a cliff," right?
Well, they see it squeezes out, you know, those last few pennies, nickels, and dimes out of their users.
So, all right, last article here, and this I believe was from Mike from MacGyver Tech. I think he sent me this article here. And yellow dots of mystery. Is your printer spying on you? This is from EFF.org, which is the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Yeah, they look out for people's online privacy. And this was from their YouTube page from October of 2008.
We can chit-chat about it some other time. I got beef with the EFF. Anyways, yeah, I couldn't move.
Okay. But yeah, that's what they do. And they basically say, imagine that every time you print a document, it automatically includes a secret code that could be used to identify the printer and potentially you, like we just said, where you connect the dots, right? Yeah. Sounds like something from a spy movie, right? Well, unfortunately, it's not. It's real. So most color laser printers and color copiers are designed to print invisible tracking codes across every single page. These codes reveal which machine produced the document and when it was printed?
How am I not surprised? I'll be honest. How am I not surprised?
Yeah, that's what I say about most of these articles, right?
That's insane. Because then, you know, they can figure out which printer it is, and they can figure out who bought the printer, and then there you go.
Yeah, and that's, again, they're putting all their R&D toward thwarting us. Yeah.
I don't think it's exactly, you know, I feel like a lot of people have an image in their minds of like a bunch of men in suits smoking cigars in a room, being all evil and stuff. It's not that. It's not some like crazy conspiracy that a lot of people, I think some people think. It is all just tied to money. Think about it. Literally everything they're doing is just how can we get as much money out of this as possible.
Right, and you're absolutely right.
All it is.
You're absolutely right, and this is, I'm going to write this in a future book, how we're all just doing the best we can, we're doing what we think is right, and someone at some business school is telling all these lemmings to go out there and worship recurring revenue and try to squeeze as much money eternally out of people, and so people are just doing that, thinking that they're doing the right thing. But if absolutely, you're absolutely right. And again, if you and I come along with one-time solutions, hey, we're going to install this, it'll protect you forever, don't need anything else.
Absolutely. Either we, you know, it's free and we just say, hey, you know, I hope you like it. If you do, consider donating. Thanks. And then we leave it at that. Or, I mean, if we're just like, hey, one-time purchase, $10 that you have this, it's yours. No DRM, just pay us, and then here you go. That's the end of it.
Right, that's exactly it. It's fine to make money. If it's just, hey, I'm going to sell you something, and it's yours, and we're done, that's fine. But with the schemes, folks, with the schemes.
And then they even will always, like, it's so common now where any paid software will put tracking where they have to connect to a server. You have to put in a product key, and then it verifies it, and it tries to really restrict you to make sure you don't use it in any way you're not supposed to and stuff. It should be if you buy it, you own it. It's yours.
That's exactly what I was saying a little while ago about the donationware, right? I think I said it in the last episode here that I like donationware because it's yours, right? If you buy a paid commercial piece of software nowadays, it relies on that server forever. So 2 weeks from now, if they go out of business, you're roasted, your product vanishes.
If you download Raven's alternative to Notepad, Scratchpad, and if you download that and you burn it to a CD and stash it somewhere, take it out 50, 100 years later, and you try that again, it'll still work the same way it did the last time you used it, because when you downloaded that software, congratulations, that exe sitting on your computer is yours.
Yours
that
forever.
That is your exe.
I love it. And that, you know what? You should see my shelf over here. I have my video game museum in my bedroom over here, and it's just shelves of 2007 and 1989 and 1995 software, and it's mine forever. And those publishers have gone under a long time ago, but it's mine forever because there's no controls.
You don't have to connect to a server to download the game. You don't have to do any of that because it's just there. Once you bought it, it's yours. They can't take it from you.
Imagine that. Imagine respecting
Imagine
people.
that, buying something and it being yours. Crazy concept.
Perfect way to close. Final comments, and how can people watch your channel?
Totally Not K0 on YouTube, or ravendevteam.org if you want to check out our website and software and stuff.
Wow. Totally Not K0. Thank you so much for being here. I am thecomputerexorcist.com. Yeah. I hope to keep in touch with you, and you're welcome anytime.
Oh, for sure.